Hey, it is Zennial Gamer, and we are here to talk about how much easier Steel Fortress 10 has gotten. That is right, guys. Now, couple of things. Before you skip ahead in the video, please hear me out for a few seconds. I haven't changed any runes because it's not FRR, so I am pretty sure your runes do not need to be anywhere near as good as mine. We're going to talk about specifically where you can use lower quality runes as we look at the team runes. I'm also going to be running through a few different team options. However, today's video is only going to be looking at team options that use Pang. I know some of you missed the Hall of Heroes. It was just 2 months ago, so I hope most of you have her. If you did miss the Pang Hall of Heroes, I will be doing more testing and posting another video later this week for a team that does not use Pang. Now, I want to let you guys know, obviously, I was streaming during the update, and then I was sleeping after the stream, so I've only been testing this team for about 45 minutes, but I'm just super excited by what I see, so I thought that I would do a video. I have not had a single fail yet. Well, there's a few different team configurations I've tested. There is one team that it never failed, but it looked like it was going to fail a lot. All of the other team configurations I've tested did look like they were going to be really stable, and so far I haven't actually had a single fail in 45 minutes of running this dungeon yet. All of the teams seem to be averaging roughly 40 seconds. Now, there's going to be a couple of tricks to keep your fail rate low, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I am using higher rune quality right now, but, big but, my runes themselves also all built for another dungeon, which means I have 100 crit rate on all of the Raoqs while I'm using a 19 crit rate leader skill. So that right there is a big difference where basically you could drop off 19 crit rate and probably another 15 or 20 speed off of each monster and still be fine for this dungeon. Okay, so for the team that we're looking at right now, the Triple Raoq, and I know a lot of you don't have Triple Raoq, so as I said, we'll talk about some other alternatives. The monster that's acting first is actually Ling Ling. Now you'll see she's on Double Will Nemesis. I would actually recommend a Triple Will build for her. I just didn't have the runes in inventory to do that build right now, and the Double Will Nemesis seems to be going fine. I have put her on a damage build, but she's got a decent amount of HP and defense through subs. She's actually about 90,000 effective HP. I would probably recommend you put her to 100,000 effective HP, even if that means going hybrid build. So going attack, crit damage, HP, or even attack crit rate HP, or whatever, you know, based on what stage of game and what rune quality you have. The primary focus with her is make sure she stays alive. The secondary focus is adding some damage to her. Now, in this dungeon, 24 accuracy is the minimum. That is all you need is 24 accuracy. If you have a set of accuracy runes on another monster, then you only need 14 accuracy and so forth. So the double will option here has been stable so far. So another option would be to go double will accuracy on Ling Ling since the stats don't matter as much. She does decent damage, so if you can put her in a damage build, it's nice. But it's, as I said, not essential, and you can see I don't have artifacts on her yet. Now, acting second is the first of the Raoqs, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again, he does not need 100 crit rate because we've got a 19 crit rate leader skill. He also, for this dungeon, does not need to be 166 speed. The boss in this dungeon is the slowest of all the dungeons. So for this dungeon, your slowest monster can actually be 150 combat speed. With a max tower, that basically means 134 speed. Super, super slow. So depending on how tight your speed tuning is, the Raoq could actually be 135, which means plus 27. So if you take this set, you drop him down to just plus 27 speed, 81 crit rate, and then if you had to, you could even move him into Rage because the Raoqs are all turn cycling each other. You should, even in the earlier stages of mid-game, I believe this set is accessible in Fatal or Rage. And then again, if you put an accuracy set of runes on Ling Ling, then you only need 14 accuracy on the Raoq as well. Now, the max skill ups, I will throw this out there though, the max skill ups make a big difference. So if your Raoq's not skilled up, then he is going to be noticeably weaker and the defense break rate is lower. And especially if you're not using a Triple Raoq team like I am showing to start off this video, then you are going to see a significant drop down. So the Raoq skill ups are really, really important. And if you don't have those Raoq skill ups, then the rune quality requirement goes up dramatically, just to throw that out there. Okay, so we're going to look at the second Raoq now. This one's at 161. The overall stats are nearly identical. He's a little bit squishier, and his accuracy is a little bit low. Actually, I probably should have put an accuracy set on Ling Ling. As I said, this is early stages of testing. And then for the third Raoq, we're actually in Rage Fight, so this could be another place where I might be able to put an accuracy set. The offset of any of the Raoqs, honestly, could be an accuracy set. And you can see his overall stats are actually lower than the other Raoqs. That's because I just built this one. He's not skilled up. And he's got less attack, a couple more crit damage because he's in rage, but he's not in violent with lower overall stats, and he's doing just fine. Acting last overall is the Pang. Now you'll notice that Pang is in will. This is important. So we're gonna get to her stats in a second, but I just want to make sure you guys understand the way this boss works is that after you've hit him 5 times, he's gonna get a chance to stun one of your monsters randomly. So if you get a Vile proc, assuming you're using violent runes, if you get a Vile proc from one of the monsters in front of Pang, the boss can act and stun the Pang, and Pang is really, really essential to making this team work. So she should have at least one set of will runes. Now she does not have to be in violent. Violent is better, but she does not have to be in violent. You can use fatal, you can use rage, you can use a triple 2 set. She'd be another place where you could do something like double will accuracy or double will fight. Anything like that would work. But you do want to make sure she has one set of will runes on her. With the Ling Ling, you really do want to make sure she has at least 2 sets of will runes on her. And if you want to be super cautious, then you could also make sure whichever monster you have acting fourth, in this case it's the Raoq, if you want to be super cautious, you would put will runes on this monster as well, just in case there were 2 procs in front of him. Those will runes are basically just gonna make you run a little bit safer because it's the stuns that most of the time are what lead to the fails. So this is the overall set, the overall stats of the monsters that you just saw. Now I'm gonna show you a second option. It's gonna be a slightly slower team, but it's gonna be just as safe, and it doesn't require you having 3 Raoqs. Now this Fran is runed specifically for PC10. And so you'll notice that my Ling Ling is 168 speed. My Fran is also 168 speed. She's in violent fight. So we're going to make sure that Fran is triggered or is set in the lineup to the right of the Ling Ling, so she acts after the Ling Ling. This is going to allow Ling Ling, man, I'm saying that word a lot. This is going to allow Ling Ling to act first on the boss and hopefully block beneficial effects. Now, as we go through this run, I'm going to talk a little bit about why Pang is so essential for this team. Basically, Ling Ling is only blocking beneficial effects for 1 turn. You can see that on screen. So we're using the Pang to extend the beneficial effects blocker so that Ling Ling doesn't have to continually re-land it, which reduces the number of accuracy checks we need. And at the same time, it also makes sure that the boss isn't going to get that attack buff and just wipe one of our monsters out. Now, if Ling Ling fails the initial beneficial effects block, we're using the double Raoqs here, which means that we have a chance. You can see right there, she derped. So now the Raoqs just brought the Ling Ling with them. She has a chance with her skill 1 to follow up with a skill 2 and block beneficial effects with the skill 2. But in this case, she still didn't do it. She only went with the Raoqs on 1 team up. And this is where the Fran kicks in. You guys could see that the Fran actually healed up my Pang, who was almost dead, to keep me alive. The Ling Ling right there just got down to like 1 HP, so we're just kind of staying alive right now until eventually we land a beneficial effects block. And the Pang right there, so we finally landed the beneficial effects block, we got our immunity back up, and then the Pang cleared everything off right away. Now, a couple of things I want to note about this. This run was probably, this is the derpiest run I've actually seen since I started testing this, and of course it was the first one we did on video, right? But that run was like super derpy, which made it super long, but it didn't fail at least. But there was a key reason why it didn't fail, which is that I put enough HP and defense on my monsters. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is really important for all of the new dungeons. HP and defense do matter now if you're trying to do speed runs, because you can't avoid getting a hit. There's no more just like one-shotting everything. Not yet anyway. Maybe at some point we'll find some new perfect AI methods, but at the moment there's no perfect AI methods that are going to allow you to just nuke through the boss every single time without ever getting hit. So in that fight, my Pang was down to like 1 HP several times, and my Ling Ling was down to like 1 HP several times. For all of the dungeons, I am using basically a minimum of 80,000 effective HP, and I'm shooting for over 90,000. Now, if you're not familiar with what effective HP is, it's a measurement of HP plus defense plus your towers. So, the simplest way, if you don't use the optimizer, the simplest way to do it is to shoot for 20k HP and 1k defense if your towers are maxed, or if your towers are not maxed, shoot for just a little bit over that. If you use the optimizer, and I'm going to put a link on screen to it, then the optimizer will tell you the exact effective HP. So 80k is the minimum I go for, but 90k is much safer. So, big thing right there. Make sure, even if it means taking less damage, even if it means lowering your crit rate a little bit, make sure you've got enough HP to take a hit. And then if you do have less damage, you can go with this Fran type team right here, which is going to help provide you with that sustain so that you're able to live. Now with the Fran, you do want her in Violent. I've tested her in Triple Will. In theory, she would be better in Triple Will because it gives her more ability to avoid being stunned. But what I found is that the procs are just, at least I tested her, I should say I tested her in Triple Will before Ling Ling. We'll call that BL. I tested her in Triple Will BL before the Ling Ling buff, right? And at that time when I was using Zinc, I found that the Fran procs were much more important than the Fran Triple Will, but I was accepting about a 5% fail rate at that time. So I might have to retest her in Triple Will and see if that matters. Now, the other team that I did test and I will not recommend is Triple Raoq. That is this team right here. I did find that this team was very unstable. One team I have not tested yet, though, would be Raoq, Crow, and Fran. So that's the next one we're actually going to test right here on video. So we're going to go ahead and drop out one of the Raoqs. We're going to bring our Fran back in, and we're going to do our first run. I don't know yet if this team will work or not. In theory, to me, honestly, it seems like the double Raoqs would be better. This team would have an opportunity to get a better top speed because of the Crow being able to nearly one-shot the boss if it has enough debuffs. But we don't really have a lot of debuffers here, especially since we're not using Zinc. Zinc gave more debuffs than the Ling Ling did. So let's see. Actually, Crow didn't even scar right there. So you see, we're not going to clear the mid-boss, where with the double and triple Raoqs, I cleared the mid-boss basically every time. This time, we're already seeing that it's going to be a little bit slower right off the bat. It looked like Crow might have missed the crit there, but he shouldn't. He should be at 100 crit rate, so that might have just been, maybe it was 120k damage, not 12k damage, and I just didn't see it fast enough. But we can already see right now, we didn't clear the waves fast enough, we didn't clear the boss fast enough, so this is just, the mid-boss rather, fast enough. So this is just not going to be as effective as the double Raoqs. However, if you don't have double Raoqs, this might be an alternative for you until you build your second Raoq. It looks like the team is going to pass. We did get some stuns. We had some general bad RNG. We landed the beneficial effect block quickly, but overall not the greatest RNG, and it does look like we're going to pass without too much difficulty. Oh, minute 9. Actually, that was much slower than I thought. Now, another team I feel like has potential would be the double Raoqs with the light Homunculus using the Rock On build. I'll tell you, my light Homunculus is not max skilled, which could definitely impact how smoothly this goes, but I am curious to see how it goes, so we're going to go ahead and test it. Getting that attack buff means that we should clear especially the mid-boss much faster, and she's giving us a really nice mix of providing us with some attack buff while at the same time giving us that additional team-up effect. So part of what makes this team so good right here is Pang is providing us with derp protection, and that's why this whole video is about Pang. Basically what happens is when the Ling Ling doesn't land beneficial effect blocks on the boss, either because he resists or because she derps, the Pang is going to provide us with the ability to strip the shield and buff. So right there you saw actually she went with her skill 3, and the first skill 3 hit did not beneficial block, which triggered the shield. The second one did beneficial block. So the Pang came back immediately and stripped the shield and the defense buff. And that's what makes Pang so good here, is she's extending our beneficial effects blocker while at the same time providing strip. What makes this boss so dangerous is when he gets his attack buff, and Pang is also going to be able to strip that attack buff off. So Pang is really still the perfect fit for this stage. There will be alternatives. There will be other teams if you miss the Hall of Heroes, but she is the perfect fit for this stage, especially using the team-ups. So the light Homunculus worked there. It wasn't the fastest run. The Triple Raoq is still by far the fastest and most consistent well, I can't say most consistent, still by far the fastest I've seen. And again, keep in mind my light Homunculus is not max skilled. Now there's one more run in here that I think will work as well, And if any of you guys are using my PC10 team with the Fire Homunculus, this would be a way to further consolidate monsters. If this works with the Fire Homunculus, we're going to be using 3 of the same monsters from PC10, same speed tuning, everything else. Ling Ling is obviously just going to be for Steel Fortress, and then Pang can be used in several different areas. So this is going to be a really nice consolidation if this works. Now the basic concept here, again, same as with the others, we're using the Raoqs to turn cycle to make sure that Ling Ling always has her skill 2 and skill 3 up. The skill 2 on Ling Ling, by the way, it's a 2-turn cooldown, which means you're guaranteed to have it up when you enter the boss stage. Just in case you guys didn't catch that, if it's fully skilled up, 2-turn cooldown means she will always have it available. Now, it doesn't mean it'll always land, like we just saw right there, she derped, but then she did, on the team up, she did land it. Now the boss has has continuous damage from the Fire Homunculus, so we'll see if this is going to be enough. Of course, we actually lost our Pang right here because the boss got attack buff. So we'll see if this is going to be enough to wipe the boss quickly. Without the Pang extending the continuous damage, we were still able to clear the boss. Felt a little bit slower than the Triple Raoqs to me. Yeah, 51 seconds. But this team actually looks like it might be the next best behind the Triple Raoqs, and it allows you to avoid building a third Raoq. It also allows you to use 3 of the same monsters between PC and Steel Fortress, and that's, I think, for a lot of people really important. The one thing I will say is if you're using the Raoqs in PC, then they do have to be at that 100 crit rate. If you're just using them for this particular dungeon, then you can get away with the 81 crit rate of the Pang's leader skill. So far this run is looking pretty good, and the Fire Homunculus animation is a little bit slower. So once again, we had a Ling Ling derp right there. This time we did not get the beneficial effects block on the team up, and this is why we have her in double will, by the way. You can see that right now she cannot be stunned. So if she could be stunned, you know, it's a random stun. If she could be stunned right there, I would not have gotten the beneficial effects block and I would have gotten a fail. You can see she got stunned right after, actually. And that is why it is so important to make sure that she is in at least double will. Triple will is probably safer, but double will is the minimum. So that run was 57 seconds with another derp. So overall, my early testing assessment right here is going to be that the Triple Raoqs definitely was the fastest team. But if you're looking for monster consolidation, I do think that the Double Raoq Fire Homunculus is going to allow you to do a lot of consolidation. Double Raoqs are probably going to be usable in certain configurations of DB12 as well. So guys, that is it for today's video. Just wanted to give you some team options for the early building after the Ling Ling buff. As always, hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, if you're still with me to this point, then that means that you probably liked the video, found it entertaining, or even better, both. So please smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below, because those things help the channel grow, and more importantly, they show me that the video is useful, and that's the whole reason I do this in the first place.